If you didn't know, there is a thing that happens if you reach a certain amount of subscribers, which is that YouTube sends you a book or something about like everything you've achieved and your milestones and stuff. And one of the things it prominently features is your first video. And I didn't want this to be the first video that pops up in the frankly bizarre reality where I get enough subscribers to earn that book, but because it could happen, I don't want to take any chances. So this is all the stuff that I won't re-upload from Pagefire, because I suspect most people here know me from there and knows why I left and yeah, everything like that. And I am happy with some of the things I made and don't really want to remake it again, because that seems like way too much effort for some of those. Plus Andre edited in some great stuff there, so yeah, I can't compete with having like DaVinci, which is a good and free editor, I recommend it, but it's not so much a meme editor. So, without losing the previous things, I'm going to re-upload some stuff, but there's also some stuff I won't re-upload, and we'll begin with the general things like series and stuff I did. Specifically now starting with the self-explanatory things that are like announcements or specials that are purely meant for Pagefire. That one is rather self-explanatory, doesn't actually lean over to my channel. If Andre wants to delete those or not, for fear of associating with the scary leftist, I'm joking. You know, that's his choice to make. Skits, I suspect that Andre just want to keep those. They're just like short fun stuff, like Submariners, the Blade collection. I can't remember the one where I made fun of a show for being so unmemorable that I kept forgetting it. And I think that's really ironic. Next is books by the cover, because that is just me ranting about a bunch of books that I've read, and I've already made those videos with what I actually want to do, which is spread positivity about stuff that is really good. Speaking of another thing, side note, which was just me comparing books to movies briefly. Didn't feel like a lot of effort was put into it. Didn't really care that much about it. It was more like, oh, people may want to check out books I recommend, but they're movie adaptations and people have less time. If I make more book-related things, which I hope to do, it will definitely be included in the video itself. I would rather have one long video instead of several shorter ones to talk about one thing. Another thing I won't re-upload is literature lecture on a budget, and that comes kind of from me feeling that those videos are very much holier than thou, and just incredibly, I don't know, not as funny as I wanted them to be. And now over to actual reviews I won't re-upload. The Hell Train book review. Okay, it's my first video. I think I filmed it like 3 times because I wasn't happy with it. And Andy was getting increasingly like annoyed with me, which is fun. But the only thing that is actually worth keeping in mind is that one, it's one of the few white shirts I own, which is bizarre. Not because I own so few white shirts, but because I own white shirts at all. That's really weird to me. Also, this. That's the most me thing that has been put to film ever. But that's all the value it has. I have talked about Hell Train on my hey, these books are not perfect, but I like them. Next is Brother to Dragons, Companion to Owls. I like that book, and I think I talked about it, but I feel that the review was very much like, okay, if a video is under a certain time frame, I am not contributing, because it was very much based on like 10 minutes or more. If you don't do that, you're done. So I definitely like dragged out a lot of things. It's fairly entertaining and dark as well. It does involve the story involves rape, so watch out for that if that is something that you really don't want to read about. But it does take up like serious issues within how the people in asylums are abused, and is very clever in that you can't quite tell if it's actually happening or not, in that there's a lot of references to classical literature, and the main character alienates the rest of the world and mostly repeats things from books. So that's interesting, but I don't think it's quite there. But it's kind of hard to follow, and again, that content warning is warranted. So, up next is the Hat Trilogy review. I forgot to talk about that one, but the Hat Trilogy is really fun because it's like an Aesop's fable that suddenly introduces realism. And that's brilliant. But other than that, I don't think I can say a lot more without spoiling like the ending. I recommend checking it out. But that's just the first one. The second one isn't that good, and the third one is really cute. I forgot I was gonna talk about all three of them. But yeah, the third one, also anti-capitalist, technically, so enjoy that one. And my Bird Box review, there were so many people who did reviews of that stuff, and I didn't catch that, and I don't feel like I added anything to the conversation, so fuck it. The last one, Tales of the Dying Earth. There's actually some backstory to this. Before we started Pagefire, I read Tales of the Dying Earth, and I was so vitriolically angry at that book. I really didn't enjoy it. I thought it was absolute garbage, and I didn't understand why people liked it. I have some of the other books he has written somewhere here, and I'm looking forward to checking those out, hoping they're better, but it just wasn't my style, and I'm not going to re-upload it because... not because I'm afraid of a backlash for it or anything. Like, I am going to re-upload my Lord of the Rings review, which ruffled some feathers. That being said, I prefer being positive and saying stuff about things I like, because there are so many who talk about the negative aspects of things without ever moving out of that, and I don't want to get trapped in the perpetual state of negativity. Not to say that I won't talk shit about stuff here, but I find it more worthwhile to talk about positive aspects. So for now, I'm just gonna say that I don't like Tales of the Dying Earth. And there was one thing I forgot in the general ones, but I think it's fitting to end on that, and that's quote-unquote sad videos, which is about, for instance, my redaction of me talking positively about the Mists of Avalon, and if you've watched my recommendation, but maybe not, you'll likely find out exactly why I was so eager to kind of say, like, I didn't know this, and now that I know, I genuinely don't know how to feel about the book series. And yeah, but it's kind of superfluous now, because nobody I'm talking to right now I would recommend the book, but I had recommended it in someone else's video, so I needed to rectify that as quickly as possible. And another one is the one that started this entire separation, more or less, where I made a video supporting Black Lives Matter. I won't re-upload it, but I stand by what I said in it. But it feels like a timely video that was made when it was supposed to be made, and if I made it now, it would feel wrong to do that again, because that feels like I'm milking it for the views and the things that happened. If you go far enough back on my Twitter, you'll find it, so... But that's about it. I have some more notes about stuff I will upload. So, look forward to that. I will also re-upload them with like a short introduction, so if you've already seen it, there's some extra stuff in there now. Some corrections and things. So if you find that to be interesting, if you don't, that's fine. I will eventually, finally, upload new stuff here. Before I leave, I'm also very busy while I'm filming this, or while those videos are going up. So they're going to take a while to in between, but that's just how I'm gonna do it. And if you want to help with choosing what the next stuff is going to be about, there's a Patreon. I don't take requests, but I give polls so people can vote over, and also some people can actually send me messages and say, like, or comment on something and say, okay, I want you to get this movie so you can talk about it, and that'll take priority. That's all the housekeeping out of the way, though. And that's it. Have a good night.